15 years ago, the internet was an escape from the real world. Now, the real world is an escape from the internet. In 2026, we will probably be doing more painting and knitting and journaling and dinner partying and smelling actual roses.
I often think about the next wave of what the internet is going to be and like what the subculture is going to be, and I truly think that it's going to be offline spaces. And I really think that like a life offline is going to be a new luxury, as if it's not already a luxury. It will be deemed as a status symbol to be able to remove yourself and go offline.
Social media used to distract us from reality. Now we force ourselves to distract ourselves with real life. Constant activity, likes, views, and audiences used to be symbols of status and luxury. Now true luxury is privacy, personal boundaries, and a life that nobody knows anything about. This unavailability signals that your life is so full of travel, conversations with real people, and events that you simply don't have time for algorithms. Likes and comments have no power over such people. People dream of burning their devices and discovering what real life actually is. Not everyone can afford it. Right now is such a unique moment when everything happens on the internet, not just connected to it, but completely dependent on it. Work, education, leisure, and even trying to figure yourself out. Previously, to go offline, you just needed to turn off your computer and go about your business. But now, digital space follows us everywhere, and we voluntarily carry it in our pockets. Before electricity, most of the world couldn't read. Books cost enormous amounts, and the ability to read meant you belonged to the upper classes. In the 90s, at the dawn of the internet, everyone could read, but not everyone could navigate online. Spending hours at a computer was considered something only available to the intellectual elite. From 2002 to 2010, the share of digitalized professions in America doubled, from 9 to 18%. By 2020, it grew to 26%. This means one thing: if you want a good job, you need to know how to work online. Large corporations began penetrating digital space. Television went into the sunset, and streaming platforms came to the forefront. The pandemic pushed us toward remote learning and work. By that point, no one could afford to remain technologically illiterate. Life moved into the phone. The average person now spends over 8 hours daily on screens, and the average American checks their phone 144 times a day, relentlessly chasing fleeting dopamine hits. Have you noticed how much quieter the internet used to be? People listened to music they liked, not what was trending. There were curated playlists from people whose taste you trusted. It charged you with energy and inspired you. Back then, it was considered cool to understand trends, be aware of every scandal. Now, everything is exactly the opposite. The ability to be in silence is valued, not hearing anything, not knowing anything, and being free from it. In March 2016, Instagram changed everything. The feed went from chronological to algorithmic, personalized. Remember how we used to scroll through friends' posts, and at the end a message appeared, "You're all caught up"? We'd close the app and go about our day. What happens now? The algorithm guesses what you want to see, gives you content it knows you can't tear yourself away from, and then boom, it's 5 a.m. All you want is to lock your phone in a safe. Facebook, Twitter, and everyone else adopted this model. Content had to compete for our attention. Bloggers started posting more content so audiences would see at least something. What's popular becomes even more popular, and what doesn't get instant attention gets lost forever. At this point, content quality stopped mattering to algorithms. If it's being discussed, great, show it. Doesn't matter if it's tragedy footage or a random meme. Users began massively missing the quiet internet of the 2010s. Journalist Kate Holderness wrote, "Tumblr is the only social network that shows posts from people I actually follow. Algorithms don't try to predict what I want to see. People are returning en masse to read authentic thoughts, yet honest recommendations, and share memories." Other social networks have gotten worse. Early 2025, Zuckerberg announced Meta is abandoning fact-checking. Content now comes out indiscriminately. If you're tired of seeing mountains of garbage AI creations, you're not alone. Information is no longer scarce. Previously, knowing news indicated intelligence. Now, it's the ability to analyze and filter information. It's a signal of maturity. Plus, everyone's tired of feeling constantly surveilled. Everyone watches your social media activity, and comments can arrive at any moment. You're half a step from paranoid psychosis. Demand for therapy regarding social anxiety and social media addiction has sharply increased in the last 2 years, especially in Europe and North America. The World Health Organization reports problems with anxiety, depression, and attention in 11% of teenagers this year, though honestly, it feels like every third person. Now to stand out, you boast about zero internet presence, not popularity, because luxury is what's not available to everyone, whether it's a collectible handbag or the ability to turn off your phone. When no one could read, that skill was valued. Now literacy doesn't surprise anyone. The majority in the 19th century couldn't read and didn't have free time for it. Now the new luxury is going outside and sitting on grass without a phone, without headphones. Count on your fingers if you can go offline for a week without losing your job or education. We're on the threshold of a post-industrial society. If you can accidentally forget your phone at home or eat without social media, congratulations, you've evolved into a superhuman. If you have patience to read an entire book to the end, you'll be respected on TikTok. Fewer people post random updates or share real life. Posts have become glossy and artificially perfect. Just 10 years ago, social media's main theme was ordinary life. Now it's a competition for extraordinariness. Generation Alpha doesn't imagine how far we've gone. For them, the internet has always been like this. Apps are storefronts. Influencers are brand ambassadors. Many think media helps us make decisions, makes life simpler. In reality, they distance us from reality. If something seems free, you're paying with attention, cognitive abilities, and mental health. Every revolution has its counter-revolution. YouTube is full of videos where people share advice on overcoming social media addiction. They get millions of views. In 2024, the New York Times named brain rot Word of the Year. It perfectly describes our situation. We're talking about the problem, comprehending it, looking for solutions, and we're finding them. One favorite trend is people sharing ordinary life in quiet vlog format, without loud music, without aggressive editing. Others share lectures, films, books, and podcasts they enjoyed this week instead of scrolling. People are starving for slow content. Young people are prioritizing mental wellness by reclaiming time from screens, reflecting a real cultural craving for time offline, hands-on living, tactile hobbies, and simplicity. Users organize challenges, 10, 15, 20 minutes of boredom, or even 5 to 8 hours. No phone, no internet, no scrolling, no reading, just sit and don't move. For most people, this is difficult initially, but it gets easier. In comments, everyone envies, realizing they couldn't last 5 minutes. Others try giving up scrolling, using phones as intended, calling, texting, using the alarm. Some set time limits, only 9 to 5 daily, and evenings are phone-free. This brings changes. Life gains something long lost. You gradually learn to separate important from unimportant. You stop constantly thinking how others evaluate your appearance. Stop comparing yourself to strangers. Research found that nearly 2,000 people assess their anxiety levels, and simply being aware of other people's stress significantly affects one's own stress assessment. In the modern world, anxiety is contagious. Even someone else's negative experience is perceived as personal. In the US, 32% of social media-dependent people consider their entire life more stressful. Using social media at current scales completely changes how our brains work and our relationships. We're becoming more lonely, withdrawn, and constantly anxious. A journalist in The Guardian writes, "I recently made a new friend, and we became Instagram followers. From her posts, I learn what she does weekends and what she cooks. This helps me know her better." Many stop storing memories online. Young generations return to printed photos and trinkets hidden in boxes. Meet the new trend, being analog. The Martha Stewart aesthetic is experiencing a massive surge. Searches are up 2,889%. The rustic farmhouse trend is booming.
What's the biggest trend of 2026 going to be, I hear you ask? Going analog. This past year we've seen the rise of nostalgia, switch from iPhone cameras to digital cameras, appearance of the viral analog bag. Yes, I understand the irony of that. People are redefining their relationships with technology and social media. Old iPods are getting more expensive, as magazines and zines are becoming more popular, as people slowly switch to physical media. As the generation who grew up primarily online slowly realises we don't really own anything. Instead, we have countless subscriptions for movies, music, and other virtual media, meaning with a couple of missed payments or a forgotten password, we can lose years' worth of audio and visual collecting. And just like that, the idea of a digital dark age suddenly becomes a whole lot more personal. Now, all of this, along with the fact that social media has become a more and more divisive space in recent years, what was once an escape from reality and a place to make friends and build a community, has become a space that many of us are trying to escape. In 2026, we're going to see people moving towards more analog hobbies.
Gen Z is roughly 20 to 30 now. They're experiencing quarter-life crisis, rethinking happiness, memory, life itself. Online in its current form no longer inspires trust. They choose physical media, each thing for its purpose. A player for music, fashion magazines, flip phones, DVDs, anything to feel freedom from corporations and algorithms. People share.
So I stopped using Spotify 2 years ago, switched all my music to CDs only and vinyl as well. Started using portable CD player. I did move on to iPod. I have 2 iPod classics. They're both 30 gig. I had this one when I was a child. Mum bought it for me in like 2006. And then this one I bought recently from like CEX. However, I came across this yesterday.
I've been building a DVD collection, and here's why. This started because I was angry. Angry with certain streaming services constantly removing some of my favorite shows and movies, or those same shows and movies constantly being moved from one platform to another. And my thing is, I want to have all my favorites all the time, not have to worry about where to find them or if they're even on streaming. Now, am I working on transitioning to physical media? Yes. But do I think I'll ever fully transition? Sadly, no. The honest truth is, I know myself well enough to know I like being fully engaged in entertainment and pop culture. And because of that, I'll have to be engaged in some streaming.
The internet gave millions of opportunities, but asked for much in return. For ordinary people, completely giving up social media turns into worry. What if I lose all friends? Because friends can't find time for live meetings and work schedules. Large companies see how lost we are and use this advantageously. It turns out we need to constantly reassemble our psyche. We buy freedom from information noise, change habits, set challenges, sign up with therapists. Although complete social media refusal is impossible, it's good this conversation exists. My hypothesis, over time, we'll start changing the internet, making it quieter and cozier, and we'll listen to content longer than 15 seconds more often. Or is that already too much? What's your relationship with your phone? Do you think this is just a fleeting trend or a real cultural shift that will change our future?